Hey there! I was approached by Gerrit Speidel, who has designed a pen, and that pen is made by Sebastian Schweitzer. Sebastian Schweitzer has sent me a pen many moons ago. He makes, I think, very nice pens, but this is, as I said, a collaboration between Gerrit, the designer, and Sebastian. Interesting pen called the Statement. This is a pen that they actually make, so I mean actually produce the parts as I understand it, not a kit pen. It has some interesting features going for it. There will be a Kickstarter, but for now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the parts of the pen, I'll do a writing sample, I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it. First of all, of course, a very kind thank you to Gerrit for sending me one for review. It's always fun. So, let's not waste any time. Let's check out this pen. Okay, let's have a look at the Speidel Statement. Comes in this box, which I think is quite a nice design. Has a nice velour lining and a rubber, a piece of rubber to keep that pen in place. There's also a little, I thought there was a little loop there. So you can play around a bit with that, but it's quite a nice box for this this pen, I think. Mine doesn't really happen to stay closed. I don't know if the final model may have a magnet or this is it, but in any case, but you see it's a little bit of a, not really a prototype, but Kickstarters to be launched, etc. So there's the box. Here's the pen. I'm going to show you that right next to a Lamy Safari, so it's about that size. It's mainly a girthy pen. It's not super long. Let's cover the parts first. So we have this this end cap, same thing here, and then a center band. One of the issues with this pen, or one of the selling points, is that you can customize this. So you can pick your Ebonite, which is this material, and then you can pick your precious metal. They offer yellow gold, which is what this is, rhodium or rose gold, and you can get a matching nib. This pen happens to have a steel nib, but you can also buy a gold nib. You can get the rose gold or the rhodium plated, whatever you desire, to match up the trim of your pen. So we have gold, ebonite, a nice wide gold ring, ebonite again, and a gold end cap. It's a solid pen. It's really quite heavy, and it unscrews to write with. You have the section, so this is all plated in gold, and then you have, in this case, the steel nib, which happens to be gold colored, but it is a steel nib, not a solid gold nib, but as I said, there is a solid gold nib available. The steel nibs are Schmidt, the gold nibs are Jovo, and they are number 6. Nice simple plastic feed. Pen unscrews, and here is the converter. What I do like is that this little metal piece actually is yellow gold as well, or at least the yellow gold color, so it matches the trim of the pen well. As I said, the pen is not very long necessarily, but it is really quite heavy. The section is maybe a little thinnish, but I find it comfortable to hold. That definitely is quite a step down from the girthy barrel to that section. And for those of you who are interested, this does not post. You cannot post this, so it's only to be used unposted. Okay, well, why don't we pull out some paper and we see how it writes. The Speidel Statement. The nib, in this case, yeah, that's a medium. I was going to say, I really want to say medium. And the ink is the that Edelstein ink of the year, the olive, something with an olive. The nib is feedbacky. It's not an ultra smooth nib, but it's not scratch. It doesn't really have a scratchiness to it. It just happens to be a more feedbacky steel nib. I find that pleasant. I like a little bit of feedback, but some people would probably prefer a super smooth nib. I don't really see any skips. I will say I find it a very pleasant writer. It's a solid pen in that regard. Writes properly and well tuned. Not too much of a gusher, not dry, just nice. These nibs are on the stiffer side. They're also not advertised as flex pens. Always be very careful when you do this, but there is that. Reverse writing is a possibility, but I think for 1 or 2 words max. So there isn't a whole lot you can do. It, as you can see, the nib runs dry. So there you have it. Garrett, thanks a lot for sending me one. Let's discuss what I like about it and what I not like about it. Okay, what do I like and what do I not like about the Speidel statement? Well, there's a couple of things that are very cool. The fact you can customize it, what trim you like, what type of ebonite you like, that's kind of neat. You have the option of a steel nib or a gold nib, Schmidt or Jovo, that's cool. And I do think it is an interesting design. Sebastian Schweitzer makes nice pens. I've seen his work in the past, he does good work. And it's a well-made pen, I will say that for sure. It's an original shape, sort of the classic cigar shape, but with a flat top. I am not an enormous lover of flat top pens, but that doesn't really matter because that's personal preference. It is nice. You could look at it, as I said, cigar or maybe even maybe sort of Zeppelin shaped. Quite nice, quite nice. It feels really solid, I have to say that. It's a lot of metal, and with the plating of the precious metal, it's really quite heavy. I really find it quite heavy. Number 6 nib, that's always nice. You can switch those out. If you happen to get this with a Jovo number 18 nib, good chance you have another Jovo nib somewhere because they're very ubiquitous. You can probably switch them out a bit. So there is a lot of potential there. The pens are by no means cheap. This version with the steel nib is, they start I think at about 245 euros. The steel nibs I have seen for about I think 585 I want to say to 605 euros as well. So that's not cheap. I mean that puts you in the arena of say or so in the area of Mont Blanc. I was thinking arena because I was picturing them duking it out, but Mont Blanc 146 is I think something like 580 euros, 585 for this with a gold nib from a new company that is not as established as Mont Blanc is. That is definitely a bit of a step, and that doesn't mean the pens are not worth it, because as I've said before, basically it's worth it if you're willing to pay that for this pen, then that's worth it to you. But I do find the price on the high side. Another thing is the step down is quite substantial from barrel to section. Even though it tapers down nicely here, it's still quite fat there, and you do feel that sharpness a bit. Although I will say when you hold it to write, you don't really feel the sharp edges. So that's very nice. I personally, for some reason, would love to see a postable version of this, but of course that is the choice of the designer who designed to make this not postable. The final thing I wanted to point out is that, as I understand it, these are not kit pens. It's not an uncommon association for fountain pen users when they see a big metal section like this and some sort of ebonite or wood or stone or whatever pen, to think that it's a kit pen. As I understand it, it's not kit, so they actually do make the parts or order them, but in any case, not a kit pen they just put together, quote unquote, just because there are beautiful kit pens out there. Okay, having said all of that, bottom line, expensive pens, but there is some customizability. They write nicely, they feel very solid in hand, so all of that is quite nice. So you have to decide whether that price is worth it for you. As I understand it, this will be a Kickstarter, so I'll post a link to the Kickstarter when I can, and that's all there's to it. I hope this was useful. A thank you to Garrett for sending me the pen. I appreciate it, and I'm glad to see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.